Chapter 1. Noah. I've loved her my whole life, at least since I can remember, which is all the way back to when she was in kindergarten and I was in first grade. I'd chase her through the backyard and around the jungle gym, trying to catch and kiss her. If I'd succeed, she'd curl her little fingers into a fist, sock me in the gut, then run and tell her mother. Yep, I had no game. And apparently I didn't leave an impression because now, at 30, she's still avoiding me. Even though she can't go very far at the moment since I'm her brother's best man and she's the maid of honor. Let me tell you, I hate weddings. I hate them even more when I'm forced to stand across from her and can't touch her, drag my fingers through her long, dark hair, and run my lips along her delicate neck. The only time I can touch her is when I escort her up the aisle. I've done it twice so far. However, she won't meet my eyes. She feels stiff on my arm, and she's hardly said 2 words to me. And now I stand here while the wedding planner drones on and on about what's expected of us during the ceremony tomorrow. Yawn. Look, Ms. Wedding Planner, it's easy. Put 1 foot in front of the other. Walk without tripping up the center aisle. Can't get lost while staying in between the rows of pews and aim for the front of the church. Then stand to the side. No picking noses, asses, or adjusting your junk. Simple. Oh, and don't pass out. Otherwise, the video will go viral across cyberspace. One more thing, the rings. Can't forget to put the rings in my tux pocket. Got it. Yawn again. It isn't as if I'm not happy for my buddy, getting married to a great woman, although not quite as stunning as his sister, who makes him happy. But I'm not thrilled with being a part of it. But I have his back, and I'd love to have his sister on her back. Again. But in better circumstances. We lost our virginity together at 17 in her parents' pool shed. I was in love with her then, too. Her with me, not so much. And in those 45 seconds of bliss, I fell in love with her even more. I don't think she thought it was even close to bliss, though. In fact, she had run out of the shed crying while pulling down her sweet yellow sundress. I was devastated, and that was a major blow to my 17-year-old ego. I'll admit it, I had a lot to learn. However, I had to learn it elsewhere since she was no longer game. In fact, she avoided me, just like at this rehearsal. But I did learn. I was determined to improve, to not make her cry next time. But unfortunately, there never was a next time. Eventually, Mrs. Callahan down the street was kind enough to take me under her wing, teach me the ins and outs of women, of pleasure, of discovering what I wanted and what I wanted to give in return. Mrs. Callahan. Yeah, she made me call her that too. And I did, when I wasn't calling her mistress. I learned, I perfected. I dreamt of one day getting another shot with the love of my life. Now, here we stand, across from each other, my eyes on her eyes on everything but me. I want her. I need her. Still, even after all these years, as I stand across from her, I'm mesmerized by her unforgettable, stunning beauty. I love her, but I can't have her. And that fucking blows.
Bree. At dinner, I watch him over the rim of my wine glass. My eyes narrow as he leans over to say something quietly into the ear of one of the bridesmaids, the single one with the big boobs that made sure she snagged the chair next to him. She throws her little blonde head back and laughs. He smiles in response, his golden green eyes sparkling. They have a secret, apparently a funny one, too. She can laugh with him all she wants, but she needs to know. He's mine. He's been mine ever since we lost our virginity together all those years ago. Maybe he didn't realize it then. He doesn't realize it now. Maybe, just maybe, he needs a lesson. One different from what that whore Mrs. Callahan taught him. Yes, I know all about Mrs. Callahan and Noah, and what she did to my Noah. Days later, I followed him, trying to catch up with him to apologize for running out crying after he popped my cherry. I even called out his name, but he didn't hear me. Or maybe he was ignoring me, probably because I disappointed him that day in the shed, and he didn't want anything to do with me anymore. But then he went to her house. I watched, in shock, as the door opened and he was pulled inside. He had just turned 18. Barely legal. That bitch was like 100 at the time. Okay, probably the same age as we are now, though back then it might as well have been 100. She opened the door wearing some sexy, almost see-through nightie, one I would have killed to own and fill out like her. Her eyes flicked up to me and I froze. She smiled like a predator at Noah, snagged his arm and dragged him inside. Then she aimed that smile at me as she shut the door behind him. I ended up following him more than once, more than twice. I'm embarrassed to admit how often it truly was. But what he learned, I did too. I watched them. And one day, when I was hidden, I saw it happen. She had her husband's belt, and she whipped him with it while he was on his knees, his head to the mattress. I watched him twitch with every strike, his ass getting redder with every blow. And she wasn't gentle. No, she struck him hard, often, but I couldn't hear if he made a noise, if he cried out, if he asked her to stop. Though it didn't appear so. He could have escaped, gotten away. He wasn't tied in any fashion. He wasn't restrained. He moved into position willingly with, from what I could see, his eyes showing excitement. A smile curled that witch's lips as she did it. I got scared while watching her hit him. Not for him, no, but for me. Because I realized what she gave, what he willingly accepted, did something inside of me. It lit a fire in my belly, caused goosebumps to break out all over my body, tightened my nipples, made me slick between the thighs. What Mrs. Callahan was doing should have disturbed me. It didn't. It excited me. I wanted to switch places with her. Now, I not only wanted Noah, I wanted to do things to him I never expected.